All right, today is December 30th, 2020, and the time is 7:55 p.m. Just a little less than an hour ago, a man was killed by the Minneapolis Police Department on 36th and Cedar. You can check the press conference or the short press conference, makeshift press conference that happened from Tyler Putman. Go to their live feed or check any of their social media. So thank you to Tyler for being there, as well as other people. And so what's going to transpire next is going to be obviously a community response to yet another murder by the cops in Minneapolis. And there's several things to take away and several things to address off the bat. So what has been said so far is that the Star Tribune said the man was shot and killed, and that there was another woman in the car who has her hands up. Some people at the scene said the woman was wounded. What we also know is that the cops are saying that this was a felony traffic stop. A lot of people at the makeshift press conference didn't really understand what a felony traffic stop is. Neither do I. If anybody knows what a felony traffic stop is, please put it in the comments below and educate us, because a lot of people seem to be in the dark about that. And then the squad cars that were at the scene were 5th Precinct cars. John Elder's answer to if it was 3rd Precinct or not that was present was that it was a community response team. And a community response team was kind of this, using the word makeshift commonly, it's this team that was put in place after the 3rd went defunct. And so they were hiring on these people to create a community response team. And according to the community response team, what they do in Minneapolis is the Minneapolis Community Response Team, they respond to high crime areas or areas with specific problems. Our plainclothes officers, undercover officers, respond to precinct drug problems. We investigate street-level prostitution, disorderly houses, and illegal liquor and cigarette sales. So that's what it says from the Community Response Team's website. And if anybody's getting, this is like new news to you that there's a community response team, welcome to the club. I didn't know there was one. But now we know that there is. And some folks refer to this as a task force. And if you know the history of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Twin Cities, metro area, there's a task force called the Metro Gang Task Force, something to that extent. And they essentially, they were just given a lot of leverage and liberties to really bust up wherever they wanted to really criminalize whoever they wanted to, and to basically racially profile the hell out of the Twin Cities. And so if this community response team, the language has just changed and it's the same thing, that's going to be something you want to pay attention to as well. So moving forward, what is the move going forward? So what we do know is that another man has been murdered by the Minneapolis police. John Elder was very vague about all of his answers. He said that the BCA is going to get involved. Communities United Against Police Brutality refers to the BCA as the Bureau of Cop Apologists. Very rarely do they ever, hold a cop accountable. So the BCA getting involved is something they'll say, but it's not necessarily something that's going to change anything. The ethnicity of the man that was shot and killed was not given out. John Elder did not give that information out. And this is important, right? Because race does matter. And it's not to say that this person doesn't matter if they're not black, but it changes the trajectory in the way that policing is happening in the country, let alone in Minneapolis. And so for this person that was stopped, what John Elder and the gang is going to have to do is make it sound like this was a legit stop, like they had a reason to stop this person. How a felony traffic stop turns into a murder of a man, I don't know. And now some will say, okay, does that man have a gun on him? And I'm just running through all of the things that people are going to victim blame in this situation. And what you have to understand is that routinely for cops, they are able to plant evidence on people. And when we look at Marcus Golden, who was murdered by the St. Paul Police Department, it took them 11 hours to go through his car. And after the 11th hour, pun intended, They found a gun, or they created a gun, or they manufactured a gun. And so the murkiness comes in the fact that John Elder was so vague. If John Elder actually knew, who is the spokesman for the Minneapolis Police Department, knew that there was factual evidence that led to the murder of this man, he would have said it. John was vague for a reason. He was vague because he probably knows too much and can only tell as much to defend the police. So it's not looking good already, and it's not to instill any type of charged, rage or anything in the community. That's already gonna happen. You don't need me telling you anything for that to go down. But the information that's going to be pieced together over the next hours, what's going to be important is, what is the ethnicity of this man? What is a felony traffic stop, and why did they stop him? Lastly, why did they think it was okay to shoot this person? Why? They shot him, but they didn't shoot the other person in the car. What's going on? And so hopefully body cam footage will come out that will show what happened. And even in that, when we look at the Kobe Heisler case, they can edit the footage and chop it up however they want. So this moving forward, you have to understand that several things have already happened. One, they killed a man in cold blood. Two, John Elder was super vague. Three, the community response team was responsible for it, yet the 5th precinct was there. And then lastly, I have this written down here as I'm looking at points. The idea is that the community task force has plainclothes officers. So a real big question is, were these plainclothes officers? And even if they weren't, it's still important to know. So who were the officers that murdered this man? What is a felony traffic stop? And again, this boils down to, in right now, the way that I'm feeling is I'm extremely nervous right now. I'm shaken right now again, because this is, again, here we are, and it's deflating, it's disappointing, it's very saddening. This is a person that was obviously somebody's son. This is somebody's brother, probably somebody's family member, and they were murdered by the police in a time and era that we really, really want to see policing change, and possibly end in the language that they're using for it, and emerge something different. And here we are again. We're dealing with another murder by the Minneapolis Police Department, and now nobody can even peg it on a precinct. It's a community response team. So it gets even more like it starts to turn into this shadow council of who is actually pulling the trigger and who's working what, and what is a felony traffic stop. I know I've said that several times, but the whole point is that when they use their language to legitimize a murder, you have to start questioning that language, right? Moving forward, Star Tribune, KSTP, who all made pretty, they made hit pieces about the square, after there was a shooting there a few days ago. They're gonna spin this thing to high hell, and it's gonna. The idea is that you have to be careful for them exonerating the officers, them victim blaming the person that got shot. Hey, them saying that this person deserved to be shot, and spinning it in that way. So moving forward, we're going to see what unfolds. But those are the facts. The community is going to respond. That's for sure going to happen. There's already an action scheduled for Saturday at 2 p.m. So these actions are going to happen regardless. You're going to see it go down. How the community responds, especially with this, another murder in Minneapolis by the police, is going to be telling of where people are at and where the threshold is. For me, it's heartbreaking. It really is. And you have this conversation time and time again, and you get told time and time again that, hey, we're doing things different. Hey, you can trust us. And then you have Madaria Arredondo go on YouTube with Jacob Fry and tell us that we need more officers to bring more safety. And that's the narrative that they're running with. And that's not what's happening. More officers are killing more people. For a lot of neighborhoods, more officers don't mean more safety. And for a lot of black folks out there, more officers mean more trauma. And the through line that people are saying, oh, we need to fund them more, oh, this, that, it's killing me, man. It's really killing me. Because this person, I said this 2 weeks ago when they had shot this brother in St. Paul. And he had jumped out of a dumpster and he was naked. And they tased him and they sicked the dogs on him like you've seen in any slave film. And then they shot him. And I said, Minnesota doesn't have the death penalty, but they sure as hell got the St. Paul Police Department. And now they sure as hell got the Minneapolis Police Department. And I don't know how Madaria Arredondo covers this one up, or what opinion piece he writes in the Star Tribune, or what propaganda is going to go out to defend this. This is indefensible. It's indefensible. In my eyes. And there's obviously going to be more news that comes out about this, and you can check back with this video and say, oh, it actually was defendable. Right now I'm not seeing it. And I really feel that John Elder would have led otherwise if he really thought it was defendable. But he knew in his heart that it wasn't defendable, and that's why he walked out of that makeshift press conference so fast. And that's why he had no answers. So the killers of the citizens of Minneapolis don't even have the answers themselves. Yeah, I'm definitely heartbroken, and for other people out there that are traumatized by this, welcome. And this is going to be community going forward. This is going to be boots on the ground going forward, as it's always been. And there's going to have to be justice somewhere in this, because this is not only cultural incompetence. These are public executions happening in Minneapolis. So I'm here for it, and I'm with y'all. Even though I'm outside of the city right now, might be making a knee-jerk trip back tomorrow. I'll definitely be back on Friday, but I'll just be collecting as much information as I can and talking to folks that are out there. And thank you to Tyler for getting the live stream of that. Follow Tyler Putman. They are a boots on the ground, independent film person that's just out there filming for the people. So yeah, that's that. And I'm just heartbroken right now, to be honest. And as we learn more, we'll learn more. So